everybody, it's Christine. It is time for Mix It Up Monday. So because I'm also doing 30 days of sketches, this will be a two-for day. You'll have two videos from me today. Let me show you the sketch. And to be, I actually designed this sketch. Tara picked this, or I guess Tara picked it. I'm not really sure which of the two ladies, Tara or Anna, but I think Tara picked it. But anyways, I designed this sketch. So I have like a wordy bits paper on the back as the background paper, or like a newspaper print, and then like a vertical piece here. And I guess technically this could be the mixed media behind that. And then of course just some little embellishment clusters with like the title and whatnot over here. And I think, you know, I could have made this washi tape. Sometimes y'all, I make a sketch and I'm not even really sure what I was thinking when I made it. It's fine, it's fine. What I have is this picture my daughter had printed it out actually I was thinking about using it for something else, and then changed my mind about it. So I've got the printed picture, and she's making this sassy little face. I don't remember exactly what the deal was, but I remember her being like, she's making like a little sassy face because we were talking about something or something. Anyways, so what I want to do, this was not, oh, and the other thing, I'm going to pull up my counterfeit kit, y'all, for the month. This is my counterfeit kit club, or counterfeit kit, sorry, I dropped something, challenge kit here. And because I'm thinking I need to make my way through it. And I'm not even really, I think I might, instead of the newspaper print, I may use this because I really love this. And then I think what I may do is come in with a black and white. On the other hand, there is some greens here. No, that's not good. It's going to have to be like a black and white. So maybe I'll do this little, either the polka dot or I kind of like the polka dot, y'all. Can y'all see that? Because she's got on black and white, so I kind of like that. But then there's these arrows, so I'm a little bit not sure. I have to look at that separately. But I want to use this title, Sweet and Salty, because this is too cute. I want to use that. And then there's some cooking things. This wasn't in my kit originally, but the colors kind of go, so I'm not unhappy with it. I have a few little pieces of ephemeras and things, you know. If you go back and look at my kit review, you can see all that stuff. And then I think what I'm going to do, instead of the mixed media coming on that band, though, I have this stencil. I was cleaning some stuff up today, and I go, oh, I bought this and I forgot all about it. And that is so cute, y'all. So, although it says to secure with tape, but I'm wondering how you do that if you're supposed to, I don't know. But that's kind of neat looking, and I'm thinking I might use it, you know. Well, now that I say that, maybe I will put it on the band and come up and come down. That could be pretty. Yeah, that might be what I do now that I say that. Y'all, I change my mind about 8 times when I'm getting ready. But that's what I'm starting with. So let me finalize my paper selections. And I'll come back on in a minute. Well, gang, I told you I changed my mind like 8 times when I'm doing a layout. So I ended up deciding on this white with this little black kind of swirly floral paper as my band. Mostly because I wanted the mixed media to show up, and I was afraid that the other patterns were a little too bold, and I didn't think it was going to show up. So I decided on this, and I think it's kind of a pretty, almost like a little dainty pattern. So it's actually a really old doodle bug is what it is. I was looking at the back of it when I trimmed it, and I was like, holy cow, that's a doodle bug. It's real thin though, so it's really old. I couldn't even tell you how old now at this point because it's been in my stash so long. But anyways, I did scuff the edges of it before I glued it down, and I do get it crooked, so I have to argue with it for just a second. Look at that, y'all. It gets stuck, and I'm like, son of a gun. So I had to fix that, and then I've got my photo over there, and you'll see in just a second, I had a piece of scrap paper in my kit, and it kind of had the same little rainbow effect there. So I've got the little pink all the way down to the yellow, and so I'm going to use that as my photo mat, the first one, and I'll trim this down, and then I'm going to use the white flowers on black background as a second little photo mat. And I've used that paper on another layout already. I do not know, to be frank with you, where that's going to show up. I forgot what day of the month that is, but if you haven't already seen it, you will. If you keep watching, or you have watched or whatever, you should see it at some point. Okay, so there's my picture, and I've got that ready to go. And then now, what do I do next, y'all? I can't remember if I do the mixed media. I want to say maybe yes, I do the mixed media, because I do have to kind of figure out that part. Yeah, I pull up my stencil. So I really like this little stencil. It's kind of I'm going to call it like a negative or something, because you put your ink in, like, I don't know how to explain it, but like the little starbursty piece is the small part or whatever, and then like you come outside of it, and so I use my little what I call magic brushes and my Distress Oxide here, because I want it to kind of be soft as it expands past the stencil. So I come from the middle out, so it's a little bit on the soft side, so it's not like a hard edge. It's very bright though, y'all. I forgot what color this is. If you really want to know, let me know. But it's like one of the distress sauce. I want to say it's like, oh shoot, I'm not going to guess. I forgot, y'all. I know it's not the lemonade one because I think I had pulled that one out too, but it wasn't dark enough. So I'm going to set this down and do the bottom half. So this is kind of like the sketch. You know, the sketch had more of a square template that I was using versus like this little starbursty kind. But I think this turned out really pretty. I'm not unhappy with it at all. So after this, I'm going to, I think, put my picture on foam. I think that's my next thing. I'll get this out of the way. I did not use the mixed media where the clusters are. I thought I might, but I decided against it and did it like this. So I'm going to see where this kind of goes, and then I'm going to take, and what am I looking for next? I'm sorry, God, I forgot. I think I'm going to do the foam next. Oh, I looked through my little ephemera here for a second to see if I have any tags or anything like that, and I really don't. So actually, I decided to get these 2 pieces of paper here and use punches. I didn't have anything. That's what I was looking for. Something to kind of work as the little circular elements. And I really didn't have anything in my batch of stuff over there. So I used some punches here to cut it out of this little, like, turquoisey, you know, light blue paper with a little plaid. And that was in my kit. So I'm going to set that aside. I'll actually end up using this same piece of paper to cut a little hole reinforcer for my tag. But I think I cut that part out because it really wasn't that big a deal. So I do show you how I make my tag here on my little We Are Memory Keepers all-in-one thing. And if I'm honest, I mostly use this little tool here for both the cutter and the tag maker. There's other things that are on this thing. I think you can make bows and other different kind of things, but 99.9% of the time I'm either cutting my paper or I'm just making a tag. That's probably over-invested, but that's okay. I use that tool quite a bit. I will end up scuffing the edges of these little pieces here, but not quite yet. I'm deciding on this little piece of washi tape, or I'm calling it washi tape for my sketch. And I think I decided I was going to look at the colors, and I decided, no, you know what? I really like this black and white polka dot. So I'm going to use that because I think that's a real nice grounded shelf, and it goes with that little black and white floral really well. So I've laid that down, and now I'm kind of just dry fitting these things to see, okay, where's it going to go? And then I did scuff the edges, and now I'm kind of ready to start gluing stuff down. So I'm going to take my foam, my little fun foam here, and I'm going to put in the back of my picture. In this picture here, I was, like I said, I mentioned her face was a little bit funny. She was kind of making I don't know how to explain it. I know what it is, but it's just like one of these little sassy faces that she makes. But I realized in the picture after I started looking at it that there's kind of crap all over the counter in the background. I'm sure it was toward the end of the week, and the end of the week tends to get a little bit messier on the counter because we set stuff up there and, you know, pull stuff out of the mailbox or whatever the deal is. And so I'm looking at that picture and I'm like, well, that's not the most attractive representation of our kitchen at the time, but oh well, it is what it is, right? And she was cooking dinner. I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, what was she making? I can't tell if that's mushrooms or tomatoes or whatever the heck it seemed like it was a salad or something. She enjoys cooking, y'all. I've mentioned that not too long ago. She makes donuts and stuff, but she also just loves to cook. So she is very much at home in the kitchen. Okay, so here's where I'm getting my title out, this sweet and salty. And if I'm 100% honest with y'all, I forget the ampersand in the beginning. I put sweet and I put salty down, and I forget the ampersand. I go ahead and start kind of adding my little glue pieces underneath here. And I'm looking at that title. I'm like, okay, now I got to start filling out my little clusters. Now, I haven't glued those 2 circles down yet, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. I will kind of glue them where they're hanging off the edge just a bit, because I'll come along with some scissors in a minute and trim those. But for the moment, I've just kind of put them there. I was a little bit worried, depending on how big the clusters ended up being, if I was going to have to move them in or whatever to make them bigger, you know, little bases. But I didn't. I go through this little ephemera bit here, and I do find a little bowl with some, what is that called, a whisk in it. I'll use that. I pulled out a little coffee thing, but I decided against that because it's not really relevant to this thing. And then I realized, oh, shoot, there's the ampersand. I need to use that. So I'll have to reorganize the title just a little bit. I'll pull it up and move it around and do some different things with it, and you'll see me mess with this just a second. My biggest fear was I was going to tear this title, so I'm kind of working, believe it or not, I'm actually working kind of slow, but this is sped up. So I kind of work with this just a second, organizing, thinking, okay, how do I want this to look? And like I said, I just kind of get it going where they're kind of close to each other, and I kind of overlap the A just a bit on the E, but it takes me just a second to get where I want it. I'll actually end up putting little foam bits, little adhesive, rather, what am I trying to say? Dimensional adhesive underneath like the S and the T of sweet, just to give it a little bit of lift. The other pieces I leave kind of flat, but that one, I'll actually put a little lift to those. I find this little pot, like a little boiling pot of water. I don't know what that is. I think that's some kind of seasoning. I like that. I'll pull out like a salt and pepper shaker and a little mixer. some pots, some bread, and eggs. I'll just kind of pull random stuff out here. I'm just building out. Mostly I'm looking for shapes and size, and then stuff that's kind of cooking. I didn't want to go with any of the baking stuff because I already did a baking layout, and I'll probably have another one at some point in the future. So I kind of stuck with the stuff that's more like, I guess, kind of kitchen-y. I mean, I know the mixer and stuff is still kind of baking, but still, it's just, you can make anything. You can make mashed potatoes with a mixer, so I figured that's all right. I find these little spoons and things, and I think that's kind of cute. I put that down underneath the title. It doesn't really go with the sketch per se, but I kind of liked it. There's my eggs. She uses a lot of eggs, y'all. Oh, she has a lady that brings her eggs now. She has that nutrition club down there kind of near, it's kind of in the country. And she has a lady that brings her dozens and dozens of eggs. Sometimes she brings her duck eggs. I think she even had her bring the lady even brought her a peacock egg one time. I'm thinking, my gosh, that's got to be a big egg. I cannot eat duck eggs, y'all. They make me sick. I tried and I liked them, but then they made me sick. So I avoid duck eggs, but she enjoys them. Okay, so I have got all my stuff glued down. I did put the foam pieces up underneath. I didn't make y'all sit through that. So I'm going to trim off this extra round stuff here, and then I'm going to add my string to my tag. That takes me just a second. I'll have to use my little tweezers to get my string through the hole there in just a second. I did have this it's a Stampin' Up twine with the little white and blue. It's kind of a little, I guess the same shade of blue actually as that little plaid paper, which worked out kind of nicely. Again, not in my counterfeit kit batch I pulled, but definitely needed it, so I used it. And then I have these enamel dots that were also not in my counterfeit kit, but they're in my stash. And Tara told me it was okay if I use stuff from my stash, even if it wasn't in my little assigned kit. So I'm just taking that and going, okay, I'm going to add stuff from my stash. Because as usual, like I said, I've got, like, my kits are getting better, but I'm not putting enough stuff in them, y'all. Not enough variety. So I just kind of took 3 of each of these different little colors. Those little enamel dots came from a hip kit called Sweater Weather. I've enjoyed that color palette, actually. It's kind of amazing, too, how they went so well with this little paper here. And so I'm just going to add these little guys. And then that's basically going to be the end of it, y'all. I didn't really put a date or anything. I probably should have. I don't know. It's just a cute picture of my daughter being sassy, so I thought it was cute. And, I do glue my string down. I do like to do that. I don't like it to, generally speaking, I don't want my tags, unless they're kind of short. I don't mind if they're kind of short. But if they're longer strings, I'll go ahead and glue them down so they don't float. And then that is all I'm going to do this layout, y'all. So I'm going to slow it down so you can kind of see it up close here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you check out the playlist because there will be a bunch of people playing for the Mix It Up Monday. And also the Counterfeit Kit Challenge blog. Make sure you check that stuff out. There's a lot of people there's different challenges and different posts. So make sure you check out the blog. And we will see you tomorrow. Bye.